There's nothing that'll stop you in your tracks quite like the words, "You have cancer." And for Alyssa Reynolds, the diagnosis came at just 34. It was colon cancer.
And Reynolds knew she would need chemotherapy and surgery, but which drugs would give her the best chance of survival? To find out, she decided to have her tumor kept alive and tested. Fox Medical Team's Beth Galvin is here now in studio to tell us how it all worked.
And
Beth?
Tom and Sinead, this technology is pretty incredible. And for Alyssa, when she was diagnosed, she started chemotherapy right away. And initially, she was given drugs that have worked for other people with her same type of cancer. But Alyssa wanted to know more. She wanted to know which drug was most likely to stop her cancer. So she decided to take a test and find out. Puppy. When a doctor broke the news to Alyssa Reynolds she had advanced colon cancer in the fall of 2017, the Buford marketing manager just couldn't believe it.
I was only 34 at the time, so I really thought this can't be happening to me.
Within a week and a half, Reynolds had begun chemotherapy, hoping to shrink the tumor in her colon and 2 more found in her liver. And that's when she met cancer surgeon Ken Dixon.
I have been taking care of patients, cancer patients, for nearly 40 years, and I've lost too many.
That's why Dr. Dixon says he's become increasingly focused on a new approach to treating cancer known as functional precision medicine. Taking tumor tissue collected during a patient's biopsy or surgery and keeping it alive so that it can be tested in a lab to find out which cancer drugs will be most effective for that patient.
The question now is, what the heck are you talking about? Saving my tumor and keeping it alive? I mean, that sounds nonsensical, but if you really think about it, it makes absolute sense.
Alyssa's chemo drug was shrinking 2 of her tumors, but in her liver,
The other tumor was still too big to remove. It was too dangerous to take it out.
so Dr. Dixon removed the smaller liver tumor, sent part of the tissue to pathology to be studied, and then his company, Specicare, shipped the rest of the tissue stored in a solution to keep it alive for up to 4 days to a lab. There it was tested against 130 different cancer medications, some standard, some not, to see which ones worked.
Rather than taking a shot in the dark, well, let's try this medicine. No, let's use this medicine. We know it works on her tumor. Why would you not do that?
It was like a breath of hope.
Alyssa's living tumor tissue was vulnerable to about 20 medications.
And finding out that there is a range of medicines that I am sensitive to, finding that out is finding out that I have a future, really.
Using that information from the test, her oncologist kept Reynolds on a standard colon cancer drug, but also added another one used for advanced or metastatic breast cancer.
Her main concern is whether we can get this paid for by insurance, because these are not standard medicines for colon cancer.
To try to get around that, they're now looking at clinical trials or studies of experimental drugs that are offered at no charge to patients.
But they're trials that we're choosing specifically based on the drugs that we know are going to work.
And Alyssa says the tumor in her liver is starting to shrink,
We're going in the right direction.
which gives her hope.
It's life-changing.
Now, this is such a new industry, and right now this testing is not covered by most health insurance plans, and the price is based on how many different drugs are tested against the patient's tumor in a lab. And so Specicare, for example, the cost ranges from about $500 to over $5,000 when it's tested against many different drugs. And Alyssa paid to have her tumor tested against 130 agents, as we told you, so she paid about $6,000. She says for her it was really worth it because she believes this information she thinks is going to influence, going forward, how she does in her treatment. She really has faith that they have more answers now to push on.
Well, that's phenomenal information to have. And also, she's not having to, and other patients like her, travel to these really specialized cancer institutes.
Right. So many of the major cancer centers are working with this technology, but they're doing it in clinical trials, and they're doing it with patients that are flying to these different cancer centers. So what Dr. Dixon is saying is we could do this potentially in the patient's own community where they could get the care, but we would fly their tumor to be tested rather than fly the patient in to be tested.
It is an expensive procedure. She talked about insurance. Is there a chance that the cost of having this done will come down so that we can learn more?
I think that it will as it becomes more mainstream. I think it will also be easier for people to have access to this technology. Right now, you have to ask your doctor about it and seek them out.
All right. Great information, Beth.
Thanks, Beth.